Can I live with you?
You said you don't feel very close to people your age.
Your other son, he needs you as well. And you're at work all of the time.
Welcome back to Popcorn Podcast, Florian. When my co-host Lee spoke to you around this time 2 years ago, it was right before your exciting Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar win for The Father. Now, almost 2 years on from that, how do you reflect on that period?
With a lot of gratitude, I would say. It was slightly special because, as you remember, everything was virtual at that time. So it was winning an Oscar through Zoom, basically, kind of. But no, very grateful because, thanks to that, I find a way to finance The Son, which would have been like a hard film to finance without the Oscars. So I would say gratefulness.
Now, speaking of The Son, of course, it tackles a variety of really challenging but important themes in family, trauma, of course, mental illness and second chances as well. While The Father dealt with dementia, why do you think you are drawn to exploring these sometimes taboo topics?
It's because I feel like, there are many reasons for us to go and watch movies, but one of them could be to try to, look at a mirror and watch ourselves, to find things or to experience things about ourselves and to learn things about ourselves. And talking about mental health issue, I think that it is something that we need to talk about that is so important and, so present in our world nowadays. I feel like we do not feel comfortable about watching it.
Here in Australia, where I'm from, mental health is of course like a huge concern amongst men who don't talk about their feelings. And I know Hugh Jackman is a huge advocate of opening up the dialogue around mental health too. Why do you think as a society we find it so hard to talk about mental health openly?
Because there is something that is not easy to explain or to understand. At least this is really what I try to do in that film, is not to try to explain or to justify the pain, but to watch it as it is in real life, something that it's hard to completely understand and explain. We all have friends in our lives that on paper, they have everything in their lives to be happy and still they are struggling. There is not only psychological reasons or explanations, there is also biological and sometimes even chemical reasons. As soon as it comes to mental health issues, we all feel, especially parents, that in a way we should know how to deal with that. We should be part of the solution. And we are starting thinking about what did I do, for my son to be such in pain or for my daughter to be such in a difficulty. And it's all about guilt. And I think that's not the right way to help people who need help. And the more we could see mental health issue as we do see physical issues, the more we could help others. The difficulty for us to watch it is to be confronted to something that is inexplicable somehow. And this is really, really uncomfortable, disturbing. And at least this is exactly what I try to do in that film, without trying to resolve the situation or to give some clear explanation as if it was in a more Hollywood way. I really try to put these characters, the parents, in front of this unexplained black hole.
Yeah, it's such a complex topic. And I guess that's why it's so important to find ways through art, through films like yours, like The Son, to open the conversation about mental illness as a first step for many people in some instances, because it is confronting, the film's confronting, the topic's confronting, but it's a matter of breaking down those barriers, isn't it, in some small way?
Sure. To me, it started with the play because The Son was first to play. And what happened is that when we did the play on stage in Paris, and it was the same then in many countries, but people were waiting for us after every performance to share their own story, as if something was starting, as soon as the play was ending, finishing. And it was like a conversation, and people were saying, I know what you're talking about because my daughter, because my son, because my uncle. And I felt that, they wouldn't have mentioned that in another situation. And so this is where I started to dream about making a film in order to dare facing this issue without making it too gimmick or too seductive somehow, and to try to do something very straightforward, very simple, very linear in a way, to reflect what was my approach, which was not to shy away from this uncomfortable black hole, and to try to open the conversation through this story and the feeling of powerlessness that it explores and all the frustration that could come with it for the characters and also for the viewer.